D&D 5e's challenge rating system is not great. Don't get me wrong, I feel for the devs. Figuring out how difficult a monster is and what tier of play it belongs in depends on a lot of factors. Like, is the party full of experienced players who know how to build and play optimally? Does the party have a lot of powerful ranged attack options? Does everyone making attacks have a magical weapon? At best, challenge rating is a very loose approximation of how difficult a monster is compared to other monsters. At worst, it's the reason a DM ends up accidentally TPK'ing a party with what was supposed to be a throwaway encounter. To help you avoid becoming one of these DMs, I've put together 10 of the scariest monsters with CRs much lower than they should have. It's not in any particular order, all these creatures are bad mamma-jammas. Let's start with number 10, Shadows. A weird form of undead that sucks the vitality from the living, Shadows are some of the scariest 1/2 CR monsters in all of 5e. Though they have a measly 12 AC and 16 hit points, they're resistant to non-magical weapons and most elemental damage, and immune to necrotic and poison damage, along with most conditions. But all those defensive perks aren't what lands the Shadow on the list. No, it's the Strength Drain ability. If this attack hits you, it not only deals 9 necrotic damage, it also reduces your strength by 1d4. If this brings your strength to 0, you die. No death saves, you just die. Oh, and your corpse gives birth to a new Shadow monster a while later. For any character that dumps strength, like most characters do, Shadows represent an existential threat and 2 to 4 hits. And that can happen fairly quickly if you find yourself surrounded by several of them and the DM's got hot dice hands. Of course, this quickly spirals with a dead party member making it easier for the Shadows to kill the rest of your party, and claim their Shadow babies as well. The fun part, if your character dies to a Shadow and then gets resurrected, they don't have a Shadow anymore. Not until the Shadow their corpse birthed is killed, which should happen fairly quickly since the Shadow hunts down its parent. Anyway, beware to all DMs who think a few Shadows aren't a deadly encounter for a second or even a third level party. Number 9, Intellect Devourers. A tiny brain monster with legs, Intellect Devourers are illithid creations bred to serve as roaming hunters of the Underdark. The Intellect Devourer's method of attack: consume your mind and memories, then turn your body into a puppet for it to walk around with. Then it goes out in the world to lure new people, and their delicious brains, back to its Mind Flayer masters. For all that horror, Intellect Devourers are only a CR2 creature with low AC and relatively low HP. But they know exactly where all thinking creatures within 300 feet are, so they can also always get the drop in your party in the most advantageous places. Worse, you have to pass a DC 12 intelligence save when they target you with their Devour intellect ability. If you fail, you not only take 11 psychic damage, you also roll 3d6. If that number is bigger than your intelligence score, congrats, your intelligence is now 0 and you're stunned until it's not 0. Basically, you're out of the fight. Any creature with low intelligence is in serious danger of being eliminated on the first turn of combat. And then that snowballs into the rest of your party dying, and, well, next comes the brain eating and the body snatching. Even if your party manages to win without you, you're still stunned. Without greater restoration in your party, meaning a level 9 plus healer, you now need to go back to town for a week of relaxation to get your intelligence back and no longer be stunned. Honestly, I worry for a new generation of D&D players coming from Baldur's Gate 3. Thinking that Intellect Devourers are harmless little buddies. Well, sometimes your character's brain needs to be turned into a snack to learn. Number 8, Bodaks. Bodaks are what happens when an Orcus worshipper commits seppuku for their undead goddaddy. They're a direct extension of Orcus's will on the material plane, and they exist for one reason: cause more death. The top half of a Bodaks stat block looks laughable for a CR6 monster. 15 AC, 58 HP, and no fly speed. Sure, some damage resistances and condition immunities, but nothing too bad. Then you get to the part where just looking at a Bodak triggers a DC 13 con save, and if you fail that, you take 16 average psychic damage. Fail by 5 or more, and you drop to 0 hit points. It's like a Banshees Wail ability, but every turn of combat. There is a way out, just don't look at the Bodak. The problem with that, all your attacks have disadvantage then. Also, any creature within 30 feet of the Bodak takes 5 necrotic damage at the end of its turn. No save or anything. So if you drop to 0 hit points from their Death Gaze ability at the start of your turn, you're going to start auto-failing death saves soon after that. The best counterplay for Bodaks is to keep your distance or to blind them. Like a Medusa, its power only works if it can see you. But if you fail to do that, this is a fight that can quickly snowball into a party wipe. Number 7, Banshees. Banshees can start popping up around the end of Tier 1 of play when players are around level 3 or 4. But their CR4 is a serious underevaluation. Everyone knows that a Banshee's Wail means certain death, and that's how it works in D&D too. Fail a DC 13 con save, and you drop to 0 hit points and start making death saves. Even if you pass, you're taking 3d6 psychic damage. A few bad rolls on characters with low con modifiers, and a fight with a Banshee can go south real fast. Other than that once per day wail and the ability to AoE frighten people in the party who fail a wisdom save, Banshees' only attack deals an average of 12 damage. But the other tough thing about Banshees is that they're hard to kill. 40 feet of fly speed, a whole bunch of damage resistances and damage and condition immunities, and the ability to move through creatures and objects makes for a very hard to pin down undead lady. If you're an especially evil DM, you can even drop some will-o-wisps into your Banshee fight. They are also incredibly hard to pin down and kill, but with a massive 19 AC and the ability to insta-kill any creature with 0 hit points who fails a DC 10 con save. Perfect synergy with a Banshee's Wail. Even without will-o-wisp by their side, these once beautiful, mirror-hating, selfish elfish ladies are a very scary fight for any low-level party. Number 6. Flameskulls. Flameskulls are tiny undead bastards made from the skulls of dead wizards. They're used to defend treasure hoards, secret chambers, and people, whatever its master tells it to defend. At least until it dies and fails at its mission, at which point it comes back from the dead and does whatever it wants. Any first-time DMs who run Lost Mines of Phandelver know that Flameskulls can be a bit scarier than intended, especially with some frontline allies to absorb the party's attention. With an AC of 13 and 40 hit points, they seem pretty easy to kill for a CR4 creature. Then you get to the rest of their stat block. Mostly it's about the fireball blowing up a 3rd level party for most of their collective hit point pool, but it's also the shield spell, usable 3 times in a fight, to bring their AC up to 18 as a reaction. Beyond spells, Flameskulls have great magical defense. They have advantage on saves and spells, immunity to several damage types and conditions, and the ability to fly around to make melee characters feel absolutely useless. Even once it's dead, your troubles aren't over. Fail to use Dispel Magic or Holy Water on its dead body, and it automatically resurrects after an hour. So that's another fight with it on the way out of the dungeon if you don't clear out quickly. Number 5. Ghosts. Like Banshees, ghosts are incredibly hard to pin down with incorporeal movement and a ton of resistances and immunities. But unlike the Banshee, a ghost can go back and forth from the ethereal plane at will. That's all fine and well, but the real kicker is its possession ability. A creature who fails a DC 13 Charisma save gets possessed by the ghost, who takes control of the character until it's either forced out by a spell like Dispel Evil and Good, or until the character drops to 0 hit points. So if Ghosty goes into your Barbarian, you've got to drop that Barbarian to get back at Ghosty. At which point it might have recharged its possession ability and just hop into another member of your party. Rinse and repeat until you are all ghosts yourselves. Oh, and even if you survive a fight with a ghost, you might come away with health problems. Fail a DC 13 Wisdom save by 5 or more against their horrifying Visage ability, and you lose 1d4 times 10 years off your life. So with a bad roll, you could end up jumping from 20 to 60 years old from a CR4 creature. Or if you happen to roll up an old guy human, it might just insta-kill you of old age. That's truly horrifying, even at higher levels, seeing as most resurrection magic can't help people who die of old age. Number 4. Swarms of Rot Grubs. A swarm of Rot Grubs is a CR 1/2 monster with low AC, low speed, and surprisingly high hit points. If a swarm bites you with their +0 to hit, 0 reach action, you're infested with 1d4 Rot Grubs. At the start of your turns, you take 1d6 piercing damage for each grub in you. So if an average of 2.5 Rot Grubs invade your body, you're taking 2.5 d6 damage per turn. That's 8.75 damage on average. Unless you burn the maggoty bite wound immediately, like 1 turn of combat, 6 seconds immediately, the grubs now live in you forever, until someone uses an ability that cures disease on you. That means you keep taking that damage over time until you reach 0 hit points, at which point you die. No death saves for you, as the Rot Grubs burrow into your heart and kill you. So basically, if you don't have access to the 5th level Greater Restoration spell, or a paladin with Lay on Hands in your group, you're boned. Plus, there's the shame of being a mighty adventurer who ends up getting murked by maggots. Number 3. Gelatinous Cubes. One of the most iconic monsters from the DnD IP, Gelatinous Cubes have been leaving suspiciously clean dungeon halls and dissolving PCs into piles of bones since 1974. Weighing in at 2 CR, the oozy cubes have 84 hit points, but low AC and speed. But that doesn't matter much if you're an evil DM who plays them how they're meant to be played. Stealth ambushers. In fact, players might even walk right into one of these bad boys, starting off a fight not only surprised, but engulfed in their acid. While engulfed, you take an average of 21 acid damage each turn. You can try to break free with a DC 12 strength check, or your buddy can try to pull you out the same, but they'll take 10 acid damage for their trouble, without a save to avoid it. The Gelatinous Cube can quickly digest any low dexterity characters who don't quickly run and kite it. You can't even heal your digested buddy since they have total cover while in the cube. The good thing about Gelatinous Cubes, they'll teach your party to respect suspiciously clean hallways and dungeons. Number 2, Quicklings. Cursed by the Queen of the Gloaming Court, Quicklings are Fae who are doomed to a shorter lifespan, while also getting the ability to move and attack at lightning speed. They have 120 feet of movement and make 3 plus 8 dagger attacks each turn. They're also attacked with disadvantage and have advantage on dexterity saves unless you can restrain them. All this at a CR of 1. God have mercy on any second level party that decides to pick a fight with these guys. The good news is that Quicklings prefer making mischief over committing murder. Harmless stuff like tying shoelaces together, stealing coins, or planting evidence is more their style. So if you can put up with that without getting violent, you might never need to face off against these little buggers. Number 1. Flying Snakes. At a CR of 1/8, flying snakes are the lowest CR creature possible. But that's just silly talk. They can fly 60 feet per turn and have the flyby trait to ignore opportunity attacks. So they can pop in, bite you for an average of 8 damage with a +6 attack, crazy for this CR, and then fly out of reach of your party. If there's cover around to abuse, it's even more impossible to land a hit on them. All this, and Kobold Fight Club says that fighting 6 flying snakes with 4 level 2 characters should be an easy fight. Yeah, no. For any melee heavy party, a group of flying snakes can easily spell the end of the adventure. DMs should be warned. All 10 of the monsters I've mentioned in this video punch well above their weight class. Don't trust Kobold Fight Club telling you an encounter is only hard or even medium if it involves one of these horribly evaluated creatures. There are a ton more monsters that could fit into this video, but I'll end things here at 10. Maybe I'll make another video on 10 more monsters that are deadlier than they appear. My honorable mentions list has more than 10 extra monsters on it, so I'm already ready to make that. But I want to hear from you guys first. What monsters did I miss in this video? Ones that newbie DMs accidentally TPK their party with during what was supposed to be a trivial encounter. Or stories about how your party almost wiped against something that was supposed to be simple. Anyway, this is D&D Lounge wishing your party all the luck facing off against any one of these deadly monsters.